Good morning, everyone. My name is Deepak, and I am studying BA HEP in Government Degree College, Khairatabad. And today I am going to explain about Greek political thought, sophist. Greeks contributed many theories on states, justice, and laws, and also on city states. Their theories are like foundation to the political science and political thought. Greeks believed that they all had same ancestry and same blood, and one speech and establishment of goods and sacrifices were common. They all followed same culture and fashion. Various factors had contributed for the growth of political thought in Greece, and Greeks were open-minded people. They collected large data for inquiry. They compared and discussed and then concluded, and according to them, the unexamined life is unenviable for real human beings. Their outlook was not to for the state, but all what for the citizen. Their outlook was not static. They posed a principle of growth and had known a cycle of changes. They searched for the best model for an ideal state, and their aims was to find out the dynamic politics for best state. Which there were hundreds of city states at that time. Each was conscious of its individuality and identity, and Greeks hated copying, so they had their unique constitution and laws and justice and legislation and military training, which was unique from its neighbors. When we talk about Greek citizenship, Aristotle said that a real citizen is one who actively participates in justice and legislation. According to Greeks, citizenship was the capacity to rule and to be ruled. They took it as a duty as well as a profession. Military training was imposed as a qualification for enjoying citizenship rights. For that reason, women and workers and slaves were denied of political rights, and the Greeks thus developed the concept of limited citizenship. But it is surprising to note that Plato, in his Republic, gave equal rights to women. Then comes their lifestyle. Ancient Greeks and Greek people were spent much of their time in the assembly or in marketplaces. For them, there was not much difference between their public and private interests. The Greek word to live means to take part in the community life. City state was school and church and an ethical institution to the Greek people, and it was everything to them. They had no personal or private lives. Aristotle said that man is not a social animal but also a political animal. The state and the society became one for the Greeks. Then laws. Greeks gave utmost importance to laws. To the virtue, wisdom, and customs were source of all laws. Law represented constitutional consciousness, and Plato even wrote the book entitled The Laws, and they strongly believed that the laws essential for the establishment of a stable state, so people should obey the state, whether they were good or bad, right or wrong. For Greeks, city states was more an ethical institution than a political institution. They regarded political science as a trilogy of theory of state, theory of morals, and theory of law. And in Plato's political philosophy, there was a difference between morality and justice and law, but in ancient Greek, they showed no difference between them. Famous book of Plato, which the Republic, concerning about justice, Greeks made no distinction between state and church, and so there is no conflict between state and individual. Socrates and Plato and Aristotle are the greatest teachers of Greece. They regarded the state as a great educational institution. For Greeks, education was for the moral and material well being of an individual. So it was the duty of the state to provide all good education to the people. Plato developed a most significant and a masterpiece which is of education. The method was praised by many philosophers. Greeks were external youths. They were very curious and eager to learn about new things, and they were race of seekers. They had abundant faith in reason. Thinkers like Pythagoras, Socrates, Plato, and Aristotle are some examples. They found an order and a system in the universe. They put the man at the end and angels and gods in the corner, and they didn't believe in divine theory. According to them, man created state, so city or state is after the man. They also say that it existed for overall development of individual. Life away from the state was unthinkable to them. It gave them highest education in virtue and in goodness. It shaped the individual's lives and made them what they were. The Greeks regarded the state not as an organization but as an organism or a moral organism. They made no distinction between politics, ethics, and state. Individuals were entrusted more with duties than with rights. Now the position is different. Every citizen first talks about rights, then talks about duties. The sphere of state activity is limited to a certain fields only. Thus, while the Greeks talked of states' rights, the modern political theory thinks of individual rights. While the Greeks made religion a part of the politics, and the modern political theory clearly separated religion from the politics. When it comes to their Greek law, Greek thought that the laws were derived from their customs and convictions and virtue, and uh, like religion, law is written in the hearts of men, and they argue they had laws a part of ethics and religion. Modern political thought is against such a view. Not only this, Greeks never gave that importance to laws as modern states do. While Greeks thought that laws are permanent and rational, modern political theory argues that laws are man made, can be changed. When we talk about justice, justice was at heart of the Greek political thought. The subtitle of Plato's famous book Republic is Concerning Justice. It is mainly concerned with the discovery of the nature and habitation of justice. In Plato's philosophy, there is no difference between law, morality, and justice. Modern political theory also gives utmost importance to justice. A separate branch of government judiciary has been created in the government to perform functions connected with justice. Many philosophers has advised in their writings, and they also requested for separate judiciary. They don't want judiciary to be part of legislation and execution. So when it stays separate, it won't become any monarchy or tyranny or a tool to suppress the low class. The goal of the state was different according to the Greeks. State comes into existence for the sake of the life and continues to exist for the sake of good life. And it was said by Aristotle and Plato. Modern political theory argues that the function of the state is negative in character. It exists to remove obstacles standing on the way of attaining the ideal citizenship. For Greeks, that state was not just a political institution, it was a school and church and an ethical institution. The mission of the modern state is individualistic and socialistic. It aims at the removal of economic inequalities, caste inequalities, and attaining a social justice in society. They had some drawbacks. Slavery was one of them. Slavery was an essential institution in the Greek city states. Slaves were treated more like living commodities than a human beings. Like any other commodity, slaves were treated as saleable products in open market. Greeks strongly believed that slaves were born to be ruled and to serve the nobles. They made slavery a hereditary institution and turned them into a private property of their masters. They had no political rights. The most unfortunate thing is that even the greatest writers like Aristotle encouraged slavery. He also mentions that slavery was a necessary institution in the society. Modern thinkers hate such system and regard it as an undemocratic and inhuman institution. When we talk about old city states and modern states, there are some differences. They are the old city states were more like municipal state in nature, and now present states are big in size and they have an international outlook. And in the olden days, state and church were same. People considered them both same, and nowadays they are different. They have their own positions in the society and power. In olden days, state was an ethical institution. It was more important than a individual, and but nowadays individual is more important than a state. Politics and ethics are different. In the olden days, they had many duties and less rights. We can see the limited citizenship rights in the Plato's writings, but in the modern states, citizens have all rights. In olden days, laws were permanent and rational, and they were laws of natural conviction. And today, in the modern state, man-made laws are prevailing, and they can be amended according to the situation as favorable to the society, for the development of the society. In the olden days, justice is also a part of religion, but in the modern state, justice, judicial system is a separate part in the government. In the olden days, state existed for sake of life, and modern state exists for removing the inequalities in the modern states and society. In olden days, slavery was common, but in modern state we cannot see slavery, but we can see child labor in few parts of the world. Thus, political thought is very much indebted to Greeks. They combined the theory of state and the theory of morals. They gave as much importance to individual as to the state, and they argued that state existed for man, not man for the state. So, thank you for giving this opportunity.